Hi everyone, we are back with Rotary Club of One World, and I have our next guest is Balachandran, popularly known as Balu, and he has been an active Rotarian for well over 35 years. He had the honor of serving as a governor of District 2980 in 2001-2002. He lives in Pondicherry, which is in South India, and he is married with two sons and two grandchildren. Where he lives is a Union territory and used to be a French colony. Aha! He had the honor of being the country chair for intercountry committee between India and France. Through his clubs, he has done projects like blood banks and the first ever mammography machine, along with Rotary Club of Bordeaux Sud, known as Bordeaux Montague. Balu, what an honor to have you. And you told me just something before we started that it's not just 35 years, but you have been in the Rotary family how long?
I've been in the Rotary family for well over 5 decades.
Wow. Tell me how that works because you look way too young.
Well, my dad was a Rotarian in the early 60s and he was quite active till 1970 when he resigned from Rotary. And my Rotary connection came in very handy in 1967 when I got a scholarship to study in the US. And through his connection, some Rotarians, way back in 1967, there was the communication was just a long distance call. And that too, we had to book and wait for 24 hours to get it connected. We had to set a time. Well, anyway, my dad did that with some Rotary Club in New York. And I was a 15-year-old boy coming into New York City and all new. The Western Hemisphere was new to me. And they greeted me. And Rotary has been part of me since early 60s. And not only that, my joining Rotary was, I've been an active member of Rotary since 1984, late 1984, when I was a charter member of Rotary Club of Pondicherry Midtown. And the reason I joined Rotary was not because my dad was a member, but what Rotary Club of Dallas, my future education city where I had my education, the Rotary Club of Dallas came in and helped me where I was stuck between 2 semesters or 2 years without a scholarship. So they took me as a youth service project and they took care of me for about 3 months. So I had to pay my debt to Rotary. And that's how I joined Rotary, not because my dad was a Rotarian or whether my brother was a Rotarian. It was only for Rotary Club of Dallas that I joined, and I was privileged, and I became emotional when I came for my international assembly when I was the year I was going to become the governor. I was going to go there and thank one particular Rotarian. He's no more, Ned Startzel of Rotary Club of Dallas, and he said, "Why don't you come and address our meeting?" So I became emotional when I had to go to that club, not as a youth project or not as a Rotarian, but as a governor elect to another club. And that club had 700 members. It was a luncheon meeting. So the year I became a president, the national theme was Enjoy Rotary. And the year I became the governor, the theme was Mankind is Our Business. So I've enjoyed Rotary all these years, and I love whatever service we could do through Rotary to all the human beings, whoever needs us.
One of the things that I am intrigued about and I really want to showcase today is your project that you have in India for cancer patients. And if I'm correct, it's cancer patients in stage 4 cancer. Is that correct?
Yeah, uh, they don't know that they're stage 4. They come from all the remotest place. The hospital which we have is actually a medical college. It is a federal government supported by the federal government, or what we call here as the central government, and it's called Jipmer Hospital. And they have, from 2009, they have got a dedicated department of oncology, and they have funded quite heavily for regional cancer center. and it serves about 100-mile radius. And the economically weaker section are, I would probably say about 75% of the patients are from the economically weaker sections. And I came to know that when before the regional cancer center, it was just a hospital. I used to take my father. My father had one particular cancer for the throat. And he had to do, that time there was no chemotherapy and all that. He had to go through radiotherapy. And I went with my dad as a outpatient, and he had to get that treatment done. But I used to interact with a lot of other patients who come from different places. And after about 3 hours spending with my dad used to go off, but after spending 3 hours in the hospital and come back, I said, this is something I have to do. Way back in 91, I thought about this. Well, the hospital has gone way in technology, everything, and they have done. And now my wish is for the children who come with stage 4 cancer. And from my club and through my friends, what we try to do is we try to get a monthly wish list. Some of the kids may not see their next birthdays. So they have a wish list, and it's nothing big. Not like I'd like to go on a hot air balloon, or I'd like to go surfing, or I'd like to go deep sea diving, nothing like that. I'd like a remote car. I'd like a nice jeans. I'd like to have a nice t-shirt, football, a bicycle, small bicycle. So I've tried to tell my friends and my members, if you're going to spend the birthday party of your child or your grandchild, why don't you spend that? Because your grandchild or child is not going to be aware of what the birthday party is. That birthday party is mainly for others to enjoy. Why don't you have the satisfaction of seeing that? So I said, any project, you have to lead by example. So I celebrated my first grandson's first birthday in that hospital, fulfilling that wish list. And those who came with me, when we had to give different gifts to different children, there was not a single eye that was not moist.
I can totally understand that. Do you also feel that these children that have cancer, no matter what the stage is, that they have something very courageous? I have seen it in hospitals. They have such an amazing attitude about life and death. Could you tell me something about your experience with that?
Yes, I've seen them. Actually, when they do go for their chemotherapy, I have interacted with kids as young as 4 years, 5 years. They have had BMTs done, bone marrow transplants done. And they are in pain for a few hours. And children they can put up with pain. They can bear, and the next moment they can smile, unlike adults. And I have seen that, interacted with them, and when you talk to them, give them a small gift, and just ask them, okay, you're in a hospital. You come from this particular region, and they come from all over India too. Some of them come from all over. I said, is there something you miss? So they talk to me in some language that I may not understand, but my neighbor my co-friend or others in the hospital who can speak that language will translate. They said, this kid wants their favorite dish of that particular region. So I said, tomorrow it will be there for lunch. It's nothing. I just call some Rotarian friends. Do you have such and such person coming from Bengal? They want this type of food. I said, it will be our pleasure. So when we take that food and serve that to them, the happiness, I don't know. I think money cannot buy that type.
And they light up. They light up
It's
the room,
priceless.
right?
It's priceless.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I understand totally what you're saying. I agree that their wishes are small and they are very simple, but the beauty is that you thought of doing that. And how many are you guys together for this one hospital doing it? Because I presume it's a lot of work. There are a lot of children, or do you have statistics on that?
Well, I don't do the statistics for the hospital is they get something like 44,000 outpatients annually.
Okay.
And they have an inpatient for free free hospitalization for about 16 to 20 patients. And they have special rooms, paid rooms. And there are some children who come and they have to stay for a course, maybe 15 days, it could be a month, or it could be 45 days. Sometimes the parents, the mother will be working for 1 week and she will go back because they have to. They'll have other kids, and they come from, as I told you earlier, economically weaker section. And the father will be there for one week. It rotates, and there are dedicated homes. There's one called JAL Homes, and it was collaborated with a Spanish NGO called Shine or something. JAL Homes and Shine together. They have 16 beds, and they have one caretaker along with the attender and the patient. They stay there, and the attenders take turns to cook. So it's kind of like a family affair for them. And we have quite a lot of like-minded people, Rotarians, non-Rotarians, going there, and we are just go-betweens. Is there something we can do? Whatever. And there are some, occasionally we get a call that so-and-so has passed away and they don't want to take the body back. Can you do something? So we'll have to do all the logistics and getting the permit and other things for them to make their lives much easier at that time.
Do you feel that at the moment, are there enough beds in the hospital? Because 16 to 20 beds is not a lot that are non-paid, right? That are free.
Yes.
So is that enough? Or do you say, no, we really need more rooms? I know you
Well,
need equipment, but do you need more rooms too?
as I told you, it's a federal government hospital,
Mhm.
and they're having quite a lot of construction activities going on to increase that. So that becomes a very big project. And I'd like to restrict myself and the other persons who are trying to collaborate with us to these equipments and to make their children more happier. Those children more happier. They are doing a fantastic job. The hospital they're overworked,
Mhm.
and but they're always having a smile in their face. So when there is a patient, they'll say, well, this patient requires this. Is it possible for you to arrange this through one of your Rotary clubs or with one of your friends who can do this? Yes, we can do that. We do that. So on a
Could
day-to-day basis, I don't go there every day.
could you give me an example of something that you need to do for a child that the hospital asks you?
Well, I think I have sent you a list of things what they have asked us, and
Mhm.
it comes to around 50,000 US dollars approximately. And this along like the attender, the patient's attender who comes with them, the father or mother, they leave the child in the outpatient block. They have to walk to the next building, which may be about another block away in the campus, and collect the physical data, the file, for the doctors to go through that. It's also a research hospital. So by the time they retrieve the file and come here, it's about 45 minutes for them. And happens, and after they see, they have to go return the file back.
Mhm.
So now the hospital, the doctor, the oncology department, they would like this to be digitalized. So where the nurse station or the doctors, they can just tap on whatever the tab or their laptop and just get the full history of the patient. So they have given some limit for that. And they want a scan machine to go from one bed to the other and pushing. These are things, and some test equipments. And for these children who are going through chemo and other painful process, after it is there, usually they come in the morning and go back in the evening. They stay for a while. They stay under a tree or in a bench or somewhere. We are trying to mobilize some funds for them to have a space where they have some play area, it's air conditioned, and they have a large screen TV where they can see some cartoon. And at least by seeing all these things, the pain is reduced for them.
Agreed. Keep them happy and safe and make it more bearable for them. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Now, what is it? that Rotarians, and especially our club, can do to help? What is it that you need from us?
I wanted to go to the hospital just after when you said that you have fixed up this interview. But due to these pandemic times, they have asked us not to come into the hospital unless it's absolutely necessary, whether you're a patient. So I'd like to go sit with them, take a video of that, and see what is it that they require and how it could be funded. And this 50,000, what our district, our OWR district 5240, and my erstwhile district 2981, and maybe the clubs in France and Bordeaux region 1690, we could all come together and approach the Rotary Foundation to do this project.
It's going to be much harder for the wish list now that you're not allowed to walk in and out. So, are there methods that you're doing at the moment through the technology, like we are talking with each other? Is
Um,
there a way for you to communicate with the children? No.
no, there's no way we could meet them, or and it's not. It's like a cycle. We see a bunch of children now, and after sometimes they are cured, and some of the parents, they have some numbers of our friends. They call and they said, we are getting discharged, thank you so much, and they leave. And we make sure that we have, suppose there's some other region where we don't speak that language, we like to take some friends over there just to listen to their language itself. They're happy. Dietary restrictions, one may want to eat fish, and we make sure that they get it the next day. And we have plenty of good Samaritans over here. By just technology on a WhatsApp or something like that, if we send, there's people ready to do this. I mean, cooking a meal for a kid or their attender or an adult patient, it's not I mean, it's not too much of a trouble asking anybody.
No, it isn't. But it's amazing that the community at large, where you're around, chips in. That's the beauty of it. And you said Rotarians and non-Rotarians, so that's truly good Samaritans, right?
True, and the empathy part of it also plays. Each family has a friend or a family member who has suffered and gone through the cancer treatment, and now they're a remission, or they have passed on. So every family has a story to tell about cancer. So this makes it more easier for us to get them involved in a project like this.
Yeah. When we started our conversation, I said that to you that, cancer has become, unfortunately, a disease that there is not a person that I know that is adult that doesn't know someone, either close or distant, that has died of this disease. So it has become, like you said, it has become known worldwide. But I don't feel, and I said that to you too, I don't feel that we understand how we can help and how small sometimes it is. It's not something, we think it's something big that we need to do to be helpful to cancer patients. And it's often the opposite, is something small, right? Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Yes.
I really feel that the pandemic isolates these cancer patients even more than ever before. And I was wondering what you thought of getting maybe some tablets, some technology equipment to keep in the hospital for you and other people to communicate with the children inside while the pandemic is still going on. Would that be something that would be useful?
Well, right now, I think a smartphone has become a necessity for everybody.
Mhm.
And most of the patients or the attenders who are with the patients, they have a smartphone, and they know the basic things about making a WhatsApp call. And so they do communicate, but
Okay.
they know that we cannot come there in person.
Hmm.
to see. But they do communicate, and we do get requests for some plasma or something like that, where we are given passes to go donate and then come back. And there have been stories in the local paper where I have seen a person who, when there was a complete lockdown in here in this part of the country, the whole country, for about 30 days, there was no transportation. So there was a person who had made his wife sit in the back of his bicycle and travel 140, well, about 80 miles, bringing his wife for the treatment. But the doctors were so kind. They said, no, we'll put you and your bicycle and your wife in an ambulance and you can go back.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
so they do treat them, but the doctors say, unless absolutely necessary, if it's an ongoing process, you stay here. Otherwise, OPD, please don't come right now, because they are at more of risk of, becoming positive in this COVID.
Give us a tiny little bit of background about the French in South India because honestly, I'm ignorant apparently because I had never known that. So that's really interesting to know. And for everyone that doesn't know this, just like me, tell us a little bit about your experience being a chair committee between India and France. That must have been so interesting. Tell us.
Well, the intercountry committee was something new to me when in 2008 when I came to know about that. And my friend who was of Indian origin who went into Bordeaux and he later became a governor of that district. And he told me that it would be good to have an intercountry committee because Bordeaux, so his club and Germany were already intercommittee between these two clubs they had. And they said, why don't we do it? It'll be good because Pondicherry, being a French colony, a lot of Rotarians speak French there, and it'll be easier for us. And I said, okay. And we were able to, about a few of us went all the way to sign the intercommittee agreement and the contract between India and France. It was held in the wonderful city of Cannes. And we were there and we enjoyed their hospitality for about 5 6 days, and they have come here. It's been more of cultural exchange. We have done the mammography machine earlier with them. Then we have done, before the intercom meeting, we have done a blood bank with them. And this project also, we had a delegation of 14 of them. They came here because it's more of a vacation, come seeing what Rotary, how we could do that. So all of them came to the regional cancer center. And talking about South India, the southern part of India is about 5 states and 1 union territory. Ours is a union territory. My residence, where I live is a union territory, and there are 4 other states. So if I go from one state to the other state, India is full of diversity. So you don't know, up in the north, the food is different, the dressing is different, the language is different. So the factor that connects us, knowing English, because not all of us speak the national language Hindi, but knowing through English we connect. And even if I cross about 100 miles from here, I am in another state and I am in a totally different language. But being proximity to that state, we can know a few phrases. But English connects us, and it's the food, the dressing, everything is totally different. You'd love this part of the world.
I would. I know I would. I would. But if someone had told me that they speak French in southern India, I would have said, "Wow, how did that happen?" Because I really didn't know. It's like Chicago. People don't know, but in Chicago, there's a whole area where they speak French too. So it's quite interesting. To close, Balu, what is it that you want them to retain? What is it that you would like not only our e-club, but other Rotarians to hear from this message? And like I said to you before, we're going to do several segments, so this will only be the introduction.
Well, most of the districts are not aware at least I'm talking about my in India, most of the districts are not aware how much district designated fund they can take from the Rotary Foundation. All of us have given enough, plenty to the Rotary Foundation. And Rotary Foundation says you can take it back, whatever you give after 3 years. So now if we have a good project, 5240-2981, we could probably tap on the TRF doors and say, yes, we need this for a project. We'd like to do this along with Rotary Foundation. And fortunately for us this year, and I came to know my batchmate from 5240 is in the trustee, one of the trustees. And my neighboring country from Sri Lanka, the RA President Ravindran is the trustee chair, TRF chair this year. So I think we could take all these opportunities, and this is the right moment to realize our dream for a good children's facility, cancer facility here. There is already a good facility, but we'd like to contribute a little more to make the children happier and the doctors also their job much more easier.
To me, that sounds like an amazing project to be part of. And I look forward to getting to know a little bit more in depth certain things that you do at that hospital, even with the pandemic that you can't get in. Maybe we can do small presentations so that people get updates about what's going on. So I thank you, Balu, for your time. I know it's in the evening for you and it's probably close to dinner time. And is it? Yes, right?
No, it's no problem.
Not close to dinner time. Okay. And and I really appreciate that you took the time to be on.